anyone here never seen Jerry Maguire before? Always love to see that, and you're seeing it the right way on the big screen. This film was a huge smash. It was nominated for 5 Oscars, winning 1 for Best Supporting Actor for Cuba Gooding Jr. And, you know, it's a film that remains immensely quotable. You had me at hello, you complete me, I mean, show me the money. I could go on and on. But let's bring out our special guests. We're lucky to have with us several members of the production. Please welcome writer-director Crowe. Thank you all for being here. This is a life highlight for me, and I wish I could tell my teenage self one day I'll get to talk about Jerry Maguire. So Cameron, let's start with you. This came for you after Singles and Say Anything, and I was reading that you were watching a lot of Ernst Lubitsch films, a lot of Billy Wilder films, and is it true that you actually wanted to cast Billy Wilder at one point?
I did indeed. First of all, thanks for doing this, Alicia. Thanks to everybody for being here. Gail and Jay, our little think tank brain trust from Jerry Maguire. Thanks. Jim Brooks, who was the producer on this movie, and a huge influence on all of us and an inspiration, he turned me on to the work of Billy Wilder. And if you take the journey with Billy Wilder, you experience movies in all genres that are just so beautifully written and directed. And while he was still alive, I wanted to be a part, Billy Wilder, of this movie. So we asked him if he would be the mentor for Jerry Maguire. And it's a long story, but he deliciously said no to Tom Cruise and me. You must hire an actor for this. I'm just a poor, struggling writer-director. Hire an actor. Anyway, so deliciously he said no. We went and hired the business affairs guy from TriStar.
Not an actor.
Not an actor. And on opening day, Billy Wilder called and said, "Who is this actor you hired for my part? He was quite good." I said, "Well, he's not an actor at all." "Well, I liked the Billy Bob Thornton picture more than yours this year, but yours is second. I liked it quite a bit." So anyway, that was Billy Wilder blessing us, in fact.
Yeah, I mean, you got to know Billy Wilder really well. You wrote the excellent book, Conversations with Wilder, which I use all the time when I'm researching scripts for TCM. And, you know, I think we share a favorite film in The Apartment, which
Absolutely.
is a master of tone.
I thought Renee Zellweger in this movie channels quite a bit of what Shirley MacLaine did, and we remember so well in The Apartment. It's like one of the great performances is Fran Kubelik. So, and Gail and I, and Jay, we all talked about the great filmmakers and the people who really knew how to tell stories with like big scenes that hopefully were full of heart. And so that was our journey, Jerry Maguire.
Well, Jay, at this time you had been doing work on television and of course being a stand-up comedian, but this was your first major film role. Can you tell us about the audition process?
Yeah, first of all, it's crazy to be sitting between two people that absolutely changed my life. Like, you guys changed my life. It's very surreal. Wow. Yeah, I was just a club comedian with big bushy hair and a suit. And I got asked to audition for the quarterback, Cush, that was played by Joey O'Connell. And I just blew the southern accent. It was awful. And then they asked if I could go in the hallway and learn the sides for the male nanny, played by Brad DeLuiso? Todd DeLuiso. I got one right. And I read those, and it was just a stroke of providence that the speech that Cameron wrote about the cassette that he hands Tom. He says, "I want you to use this." And you think it's going to be a condom, but he hands him a cassette tape. I had that cassette. I owned it. So I knew all the musicians in his speech. I'm like, this is Miles Davis, Cannonball Adderley, and John Coltrane, Masters of Jazz, the two saxophones battling. I knew all the players because I loved that particular CD. So I just came in. You guys must have thought I was like a savant. I came in like 6 minutes later, like, got it. And then I read that part, and there was a weird quiet. I remember, and there was I guess it was Jim Brooks' office, and then everybody was just standing around, nobody spoke, and Jim Brooks was standing against his desk, and he just goes, "What about sugar?" And I went, "Oh my gosh, I hope they don't have me go in the hallway and learn that real quick." That was a big thing. And you guys were so gracious with your time that you said, "Yeah, come back next week." It was like a Thursday, and I came back the next Wednesday. So I just went crazy in my house. I became just a hermit, just obsessing over this one part.
Well, and then suddenly you were firing Tom Cruise, which is beautiful.
Yeah, Tom, can we just say that Tom Cruise is the coolest man to ever live? He's so great. He's so cool. People always want you to say something bad about him. He's crazy. Like, no, he's extraordinarily amazing, awesome guy. Like, you'll never meet a guy like that as cool as him.
Every part matters to him. Every part mattered to us, and we really, he was doing something that was fresh for him because he hadn't done a romantic kind of leading part in a long time. And Gail and I felt like, let's surround him with people that hopefully you don't know. So you have like the biggest star in the world surrounded with newcomers. Renee Zellweger, who you haven't met before. Jay Mohr, who comes in and fires Jerry with such panache. Like, I love the way that you say, "It's real, Jerry." It's real. It's real. And
do you remember when the firing scene, my seat for some reason was lower than it was in the audition, and we did 2 takes, and Tom goes, "Are you okay?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, "No." And he says, "Well, what's going on?" And I said, "Well, firing." When I did this scene, I was always, no matter what, I'm always somehow looking down at you. Like, if you drew lines from my eyes to yours, I'm looking down at you all the time. And I felt like Edith Ann in like a big chair. And Tom just goes, Cameron, he needs a different chair. And you guys rushed in, you put my chair on an apple box, and then I was Bob Sugar again. And Tom goes, "Don't ever underestimate how important everything is."
that's the guy. That's the guy. Yeah.
Great story.
I know it's hard to imagine anyone more perfect to play Jerry Maguire than Tom Cruise. I know Tom Hanks was in the mix. Tom Cruise is perfect. And Gail, this was your first time working with Cameron Crowe. You've worked with him several times since. But you look at this cast. I mean, Cuba Gooding Jr., Jay Mohr, Renee Zellweger, Regina King, Bonnie Hunt. There are so many great actors. How did you go about getting that ensemble together, the right mix of people?
Well, Cameron and I really like to focus on finding people with humor, and then especially if they have something dramatic to do, it sometimes just adds a whole other layer to the performance. And we went through a process. It's nothing that happens right away. It's a process, and you bring actors in, and then sometimes Cameron's really good with actors in the room. We walk around, blocks them, we do improvs, and sometimes the magic just happens. Like with Jay, for example, you did read for several parts, 2, 3 different parts, and we just found the right part for you eventually, which was great. And that's just part of getting to know an actor and the nice quality an actor might have to bring to a part, and also the generosity of the actor who comes in and who just is so raw, just trying to please everybody in the room and get the role and do it right. So thank you, Jay. I mean, really.
What she won't tell you, and I'll embarrass her, is there are no nights involving sleep once Gail is on the project and on the hunt to get us all the right people. She looks at every tape, every audition. She's there doing off camera when we're in the room. So we really are partners in crime. After this, the quest was to find the lead in Almost Famous. And Gail brought in found people from all over until we found young Patrick Fugit from Utah.
That was a big search.
So that's Gail.
That was a big search.
I love embarrassing her.
But all casting directors, most casting directors do that. We have a lot of OCD, and I think that's part of what we do, because we have that in our personalities. So it makes it easy.
Yeah.
I'm going to say, Gail, as a guy that hasn't gotten 99.99% of the roles I've read for, not a lot of casting directors don't do that. You got some big stones on you.
for the people that have not seen Jerry Maguire before, and for the people that have, it's really fun to remember that we all were together doing this. We were all rooting for each other. A lot of that comes from Tom, who knows every character's line, every scene, shows up on the days when a lot of big stars don't, just so that he can be there to create that feeling of community that people talk about, but doesn't always exist. So as you see this movie, just know that all these people were so psyched about their characters that we really did live the story together. So it's a personal movie in many ways for all of us.
Yeah, and I mean, I've heard Tom Cruise is incredibly prepared on set, but Jay, you were also able to improvise with him.
Yeah, well, Cameron would, off stage, he would shout lines out to me and just say, now, say that there's a million new channels, your face on every one of them, new millennium, new endorsements, new deals, and I want you in the middle of it. And I would repeat that and look over at Cameron and say it again, and then say whatever you want. And I think this is what happened. I said something that you put a pin in and brought to Tom, and then Tom came in on a day off to react to my ad lib. It was, you really...
Yeah, that whole sequence just spun and spun
Yeah.
and spun and spun.
Yeah, you made me feel safe, and I see actors saying that and think like, what are they talking about? But now I'm in real time saying it, and it means something to me. Like I felt,
and you make it fun, because when everything is cooking and people are bouncing off each other, it just starts spinning into like that other place where you can't get there writing alone in a room ever. It's just you get to watch it come to life.
I was too afraid to ad lib, but you encouraged me. This was my first movie. I didn't know what I was doing.
And you also, made that great environment for the women's divorce group. All those women, a lot of that was improvisational.
Yeah.
We found women from comedy and improv and, groundlings and places like that who could come in and add something to the conversation. It's really fun.
I was always suspicious of You Complete Me. Like I wasn't sure if it was too cheesy and stuff. It just kind of felt good when I wrote it, so I was always kind of apologetic about it. And when Tom committed to the movie and everything, I told him that. He was like, well, give me a shot at that. Give me a shot at it. And it ended up being like 2 or 3 in the morning when we finally, on the day, had the scene happen where the divorced women's group are there and he's going to come in. But they didn't expect him to come in. None of them there thought he had the day off. So Tom came in and surprised them with the speech that you see in the movie. And when they're turning around and looking at him, that's them really going, holy shit, he showed up. It's him. And then he's giving that speech with them there, and he says, you complete me. And I looked around and like, everybody was crying, and like the grizzled grips who like barely looked at you. They're like, and Tom's going, making a meal out of this. You complete me. And he told me later, I wanted to say, I love you in a movie to my wife in a powerful way, and that's why I always wanted to do You Complete Me for you. So again, it's real.
Yeah. And of course we have to talk about Renee Zellweger, because Tom Cruise had a wonderful partner in her. And Gail, you had worked with Renee on Empire Records, and it was you who brought Renee in. What did you see in her that you knew would be perfect for Dorothy Boyd?
She was really good. She was vulnerable. She was sweet. She was kind of innocent, and we just needed somebody for that character who was sort of wide-eyed and who was still, when she says to him, I love what you said in your mission statement. I mean, she just had that heart, and she came in and they had great chemistry. That's the bottom line. We did see a lot of other great actors, but for some reason, she and Tom just had the right chemistry for that part, to work together.
Yeah, another of my favorite lines is optimism is a revolutionary act, which I feel even more strongly today than I did in 1996. What is it like having your work quoted back to you, Cameron? I know you worked on this script for 4 years.
It's never the lines that you think, are repeatable. It's like people kind of find their own way to appreciate a line. You can kind of feel it in the theater. I was like most proud of the fact that like Quan, I loved the idea of But I didn't expect Show Me the Money and You Complete Me or any of that stuff to get repeated as it does. And I just remember my mom calling me up at one point when I think it was George Bush said, "Show me the money" in the State of the Union address. And she was like, "Okay, you don't have to go to law school. You're okay. You're good. You said your line."
Well, Jay, now it has been 30 years. People still love this film. How do you describe that, or what do you, what do you account for that it's still so beloved all these years later?
And I think it just has to start in the writing, and Cameron's such a great writer, and there's so much heart in somebody could dismiss it if not seeing it, like, it's a sports movie, I'm not really into sports movies, but my favorite parts of the movie are so, like, where I kind of cried is when Tom and Jonathan Lipnicki are talking, and Tom's drunk, and he's going on and on about his dad, and the little boy just goes, "My dad died." And Tom goes, "You're right, I'm hogging it." Like, it's just two men in a bar. And I'm like, oh, and I'm like trying to explain to people, like, do you understand the heart, like, where that's gotta come from? And I think when you can make people feel in a theater, now it's all, superheroes and metaverses and AI, and it was one of the last great, I mean, we're coming back now maybe, but movies where there was incredible amounts of feeling. Like that awkwardness between Tom and Dorothy where the marriage isn't working out. Like that was like Ice Storm-esque, where it was, Tom's just, I don't know, the town is like Cleveland, Tuesday. Like bringing up, like, I gotta travel again, but it's kick-ass. But he knows it's like a horrible thing. Like some of us have lived through that, and you just nailed it. You just nailed it. It was I'd say I'm proud of it, but it's so little to do with it. It was just such a weird confluence of events that fell into place for me.
Need sugar, man. Need sugar for the story. Come on.
How about Jerry Maguire too?
Yeah!
The Bob Sugar story.
Well, thank you all for being here and for supporting Turner Classic Movies, because I know you are big fans of the channel.
Oh my
I appreciate
God,
that.
to watch.
Well, please join me in thanking Gail, Levin, Mohr, and Crowe.